thanks for the kind introduction, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's first of all so nice to see so many people who have come out to be concerned about the future of journalism, and so many people who are both younger and older. That's a great thing. I hope to and intend to paint an optimistic portrait of the future of journalism for you, and I want to give you a full report on Global Post. And I can tell you it's a very optimistic report on our first year. This is, for me, my 43rd year in journalism. I've worked in virtually every part of the media, starting as a general assignment reporter at the Richmond Times-Dispatch in Virginia in 1967, at a time when our professional horizons seemed truly limitless. But for all of these years, through the good times and the bad, I've always been an optimist about our profession, believing that we could overcome all the obstacles. And there have certainly been many of those, especially the rush to media consolidation in the 90s and the falling standards of public service in so many news organizations. But now we have arrived at a truly transformative moment in journalism's history, and I think it's honest to say that the outcome is unknowable as we stand or sit here tonight. I think the question for each of us is, what part will we play? Will we choose to play in creating a better and stronger future? There are many prophets of doom about the future of news. I'm sure you've been reading a lot about them. I happen to believe that they're wrong. But the road ahead is not going to be easy, and there is not going to be any grand solution. The future of journalism is going to be created one step, one entity, and one new model at a time. Now, at Global Post, we've put our arms around one of the most underserved parts of the journalism landscape, and that's international news. And I'm proud to report that we have made excellent progress since our launch in January. We've built an exceptional team. We have superb reporting on important stories that can be found in few, if any, other places. We have strong brand awareness for a just-born entity, a very substantial online audience that continues to grow, and 3 developing revenue streams that offer real promise that we will achieve self-sufficiency without needing to raise additional capital. Indeed, I assembled our board of directors just a week ago today in Boston. We approved our 2010 budget and 5-year plan, and we have projected that we will be profitable in 2012. Now, Global Post is my 3rd journalism enterprise that I have created and built literally from the ground up. The first is the nightly television news magazine Chronicle, which will celebrate its 28th anniversary on the air in Boston this January. Chronicle is seen as the most successful local television program in American broadcasting history, and it is still winning the 7:30 to 8 p.m. time period every weeknight against all competition. Most importantly, it's a beacon of quality and civility in an often dreary local television landscape. The second enterprise is NECN, New England Cable News, now 17 years old. It's the largest local news channel in America, reaches 4 million homes in the region, and has won every major national broadcast journalism award. One of my original partners, the Hearst Corporation, recently sold its interest in the network to Comcast, and in a stark departure from most media transactions these days, the Hearst interest sold at a handsome profit. These accomplishments I tell you for one reason, because they demonstrate my lifelong belief that excellence in journalism can, indeed it must, go hand in hand with building a good business. Great journalism without a vibrant business to support it sows the seeds of its own demise, just as larger profits for their own sake in a news enterprise create shallow content and endless pandering to the audience. These are the values that I brought to Global Post, which is certainly the most challenging new enterprise of my career, and one that I think holds the greatest promise. In late March, the New York Times said, quote, "Global Post has begun offering a mix of news and features that only a handful of other news organizations can rival." I wanted to thank Mr. Salzberger for that kind attention, but unfortunately he's ill tonight, so I'll thank Martin in his place. It was a notable accomplishment for an entity that didn't exist before January 12th of this year. And you may have seen, and I think Joel noted, our announcement just last month about our partnership with CBS News to help them with international coverage using our network of correspondents around the world. This arrangement is financially rewarding to us, of course, but far more importantly, it helps to expand awareness and credibility of our brand and bring more people to our site. We've also built partnerships with a broad array of media organizations, from the Huffington Post to Reuters to the O'Reilly Factor on Fox News to AOL and to many others, all of whom simply respect the quality and the honesty of our reporting. We've also used social networking and social bookmarking sites in a coordinated and aggressive marketing strategy designed to build our audience base. And in September, nearly 500,000 unique users came to Global Post. Almost 3 million have come to our site since we launched. We should reach our year-end goal of 600,000 monthly unique users, and we've set a target of exceeding 1 million in 2010. And those numbers are starting to get significant. And the audience is stunningly global, and one of the things that impresses me as much as anything else is that every single month since we've launched, we've had visitors from more than 200 countries. I don't know how many of you know how many countries there are in the world. The United Nations recognizes about 184, the State Department maybe a few more or a few less. But we've had 230 countries, all but North Korea, Chad, and a couple of others have visited our site. So it's amazing how in a short period of time, if you have the right content and do the right things, that you can truly put your arms around this big world of ours. The foundation of Global Post is our correspondent corps, more than 70 highly talented journalists who are resident in some 50 countries. They're veteran foreign correspondents, mid-career professionals, and younger journalists, but they all share a passion for being out in the world. Our geographic reach is among the broadest of any U.S. or British news organization, and we are committed to full coverage of all regions of the world, and we're particularly proud of our reporting on Africa, South America, and Asia. I want to say a few words about the compensation model for our correspondents because it's gotten a lot of attention, and it is certainly central to our business plan. They are not full-time employees, and there is no way we could start and build a new business with that kind of cost structure. We do, however, sign long-term contracts with our correspondents. We guarantee them a fixed amount of monthly compensation, and we grant them shares in our company, so they have a financial stake in our success, and that's unusual in journalism. This model of compensation works well for Global Post, obviously, but it also works well for our correspondents. However, we know that they are bearing personal financial risk being out in the world in that way, just as we are bearing business risk. For some, Global Post's monthly compensation is a foundation for their income. For others, it's an attractive addition to an already successful career. But overall, we're dedicated to improving their financial well-being as our business grows and strengthens. A lot has been written about our business model, and I want to give you a very candid report on our progress so far. First of all, we've created a highly efficient operation, and we enforce strong fiscal controls. In this inaugural year, in which so many things were simply unknowable, we will come in almost 10% under budget in our total costs, and that is a remarkable accomplishment. We will also be able to hold our costs within a tight range for as long as needed to reach profitability. Now, journalists generally don't like to talk about efficiency, productivity, and cost controls, but I've learned that all are essential in both old and new media worlds. If you want to be successful today in the business that I am now in, you have to be tough on costs, and you have to pay attention to every financial detail. The swiftest route to failure is through overspending. We've created 3 distinct revenue streams to support Global Post: advertising on our site, syndication of our original content to newspapers and websites and radio and television networks both in the U.S. and abroad, and a paid membership service called Passport that offers additional content and additional benefits for an annual fee of from $50 to $99. Now, launching a new business into the teeth of the worst economic downturn in more than 70 years is a very tough way to come into the world. And our revenue performance was certainly hurt, especially advertising. It's hard enough to get the attention of ad agencies as a new brand, and even harder to claim a share of their clients' money. Nevertheless, we won a lot of respect from the ad community this year. People saw us, they listened to our story, and a few of them even bought us. We're honored to have as clients the Bank of America, Liberty Mutual, Singapore Airlines, Delta Airlines, Merrill Lynch, and a number of others. And importantly, we're very well positioned to grow our advertising business in 2010, and new clients are arriving each week. Syndication has been our best success story so far. We'll achieve 80% of our revenue budget for this year. We have already booked 50% of our revenue budget for 2010. We have more than 20 clients, including the New York Daily News, the Newark Star Ledger, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the South China Morning Post, the Khaleej Times in Dubai, CBS News, and quite a number of others. And here, too, new clients are signing on with us on a regular basis. That brings us to Passport, which is our most innovative revenue source. To build it, we had to fashion a new strategy for generating consumer revenue online, create special content and a separate site, build an e-commerce back end, and boy, that was pretty challenging, and figure out what to charge and how to market the service. Passport launched in April, and while we're still on a steep learning curve, our excitement about the potential of Passport is undiminished as we close in on about 500 paying members this year. It's admittedly a very modest start, but we can now see a path to gaining 20,000 to 30,000 members, and that is going to significantly help to balance our total revenue structure and allow us to keep the main Global Post site free. So here's the only pitch you'll hear tonight. I encourage you, when you go home, fire up your laptop, go to the Passport information page, read about it. If you're so moved, subscribe to Passport. I think you'll find it to be intriguing in content and intriguing in the special benefits that it offers. For example, you can vote on stories, and we listen to that. Our editor, our Passport editor, posts the most meritorious stories. You can vote on stories. Those stories will be the ones that we cover. We do weekly conference calls with our correspondents. You can get on that call. You can ask questions from our correspondent in Beijing or Delhi or Bangkok or Berlin or Paris or Johannesburg or wherever the case might be. Nobody else, to the best of my knowledge, does that. If we're going to preserve great journalism in America, someone does eventually have to pay the bill. I was an early believer in what's now called online monetization, and I made it an important part of the initial 2006 business plan for Global Post. Today, with the economic underpinnings of the mainstream media in distress, movement to some form of paid content model online is simply a survival issue for many publishers. Global Post takes on these challenges as a for-profit enterprise. That doesn't mean we have any less respect for our colleagues like Paul Steiger and his ProPublica, who have created excellent nonprofit journalism institutions. Indeed, we hope to work with major foundations that are interested in supporting our mission of giving Americans access to high-quality reporting on our dangerous and complex world, and we see real promise in such partnerships. I do, however, believe that the discipline of the marketplace can make a news organization stronger and more likely to be self-sustaining on a long-term basis. And covering your annual operating costs is an inescapable reality no matter what your source of funding may be. The most difficult challenge for-profit journalism is building and sustaining a high-quality, principled news organization that is also a commercial success. That is something that I have done for my entire career, and I am confident that I can do it again with Global Post. If journalism is going to have a better future, and I hope you're believe strongly that that is the case, no matter how dire some circumstances seem, then my belief is that journalists themselves must take hold of that future and build new models of journalism that are high in quality and financially sound. And this chance to take hold of the future is really the great challenge and the opportunity of our time. Journalists should be the ones to build the next generation of profitable, high-quality news franchises, and the Internet is indisputably the place to do it. When you think about it, this should be our golden age, because we can ride on the back of the most powerful medium of communication in human history, and it's open to all. We need to unleash the latent entrepreneurship that resides undiscovered, admittedly, in many journalists, and at Global Post we're dedicated to instilling that spirit in our staff and to taking advantage of this enormous opportunity to give Americans the breadth and quality of international news that they deserve. It's a hard road, and I can tell you that journalism entrepreneurship is definitely not for the faint of heart. But an exciting future awaits us if we have the courage and the will to seize this historic moment. Thank you very much.